How's it going, everybody? It's Kenneth Fox here today, and this is my channel where I talk about anime, video games, and cartoons. And usually I talk about Sonic and Teenage Turtles. And if you've read the title of the video, or if you, yeah, because it must have something with either Lara-Su or Ken Penders in there, and you already know I'm talking about Sonic. So let's get it on it. So, anyways, I kind of wanted to be like I wanted to like I've been sitting on this topic for a bit, but I wanted to talk about Ken Penders and just my opinions about the guy, who he is, and I'm going to be talking about his Lara-Su Chronicles and what I think about that. So yeah, but most Sonic fans who have read the Archie comics and are familiar with the marks that he's left on the series, they know who he is. So his full name is Kenneth Penders Jr., and he's pretty much articulated a portion of the pre-Genesis waves of the Sonic comics, stories, and lore. He's infamous for his negative behavior towards fans. He's atrocious. Artwork is just bad. And his lawsuits against the Archie and Sega for the copyrights over characters that he had created for them. So, yeah. There's a few things that I can actually respect about Ken Penders, so that this isn't just about me just shitting on the guy because he's Ken Penders and, well, the whole Sonic fan base just universally hate this guy. And myself included. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't like Ken Penders as a person, but I will admit that there are some things that I actually do respect about him. So yeah, and that's just that he's a family man and he takes pride in his own work. He got into the series through his kids, and he even put his own son in his shitty Sonic trailer that he tried to pitch. I'll probably get to that some point in the video with this. He's based Knuckles' dad, Locke, off of his own dad, which is pretty cool. And he based Knuckles' mom off of his own wife, named after her. And he does take pride in his characters. Like, he's developed enough, the characters that he's just developed, enough to fight back for the rights of using those characters at the cost of forsaking the comics itself. So yeah, thanks for that, Ken. But yeah, that's pretty much just the introduction. Now I'll talk about some of the other things about Ken Penders. Now that I've talked about some of the things that I respect about him, I'm going to be talking mostly about what I just don't like about Ken Penders as a person. Now, personally, I think he's aloof, he's argumentative, he's butthurt, he's a deranged leftist, disrespectful, egotistical, hypocritical, insensitive, narcissistic, overdramatic, petty, pig-headed, unproductive, uppity ass writer. That's what I think about Ken Penders. And I could probably say more, to be honest, but that's all she wrote, and I put it in alphabetical order. He's quick to throw other fellow writers like Ian Flynn and Ben Hurst just under the bus, which is kind of a bitch ass made, which is a pretty bitch made thing to do. Given from what I've heard, he threw a monkey wrench at the Sonic Satayam movie, concluding the series in favor of his own, which was shot down immediately. And not only did he ruin that for fans, but also Ben Hurst, who died never seeing his vision come to life. And even after that, after his death, Ken Penders just continues to trash the man on the internet. So recently, I wanted to do this video because I just saw a window of opportunity just to want to talk about it. But recently, he replied to a friend of mine on Twitter named Daryl Hines about just about a question on whether or not Sally will be in the IDW, which that doesn't really make any sense why he would ask Ken Penders that, because Ken Penders has nothing to do with Sonic anymore besides the Lara-Su Chronicles and maybe the arguing with fans and stuff, or the interviews or conventions and stuff or whatever. But other than that, he has no ties to the series anymore. And second, he doesn't work at IDW, so I don't know why he's asking him. He says, not unless Ian Flynn is still writing the books. So, which can easily be debunked. I mean, for starters, Evan Stanley is the current head of the writer of the comics. Like Ian Flynn, he writes some stories every now and then, but I think Evan Stanley's been writing most of the stories nowadays. Second, there are mandates on the comics that Sega set going onwards, which includes the status of the freedom fighters, so they couldn't just use them and whatnot. Because trust me, they would if they could, but they just can't. And finally, Ian's freelance. He's a freelance writer. He doesn't have ownership over the characters. I can understand an idiot like Laurie Hughes, for example, who wouldn't get that, but Ken Penders, who is a writer himself, a freelance writer, I believe. As far as I'm aware, even the Bumble King, Ian, has Ken Penders blocked on Twitter for a while anyways. Because arguing with this guy is just mentally exhausting. Like I've myself debated with a guy on Twitter, and yeah, and I do like to go back and forth every now and then. I'm not even gonna lie to you, but oh my god, he takes that shit to a whole nother level. Um, like about a little while ago, he kind of did debate me on like about voting and stuff, or not about yeah. I think one was about voting and another was about him. Yeah, I'll put the which call it the screenshots in there, but it was us arguing back and forth about politics. I'm not really too political, so there might be times where I might be a little bit naive or I might be a little bit of a novice too. But I'm just like, yeah, he was like, oh yeah, Joe Biden, he's just as good as President Lincoln and President I, I think it was like freaking it was Franklin Theodore Roosevelt. I don't remember who, but it was yeah it was like yeah he was saying he was just as good or he's at least better than Donald Trump, and I'm like, but Joe Biden just got elected and he hasn't really done anything like so far that puts him above Trump. Just that I guess people like him better, but I mean, but yeah, I mean, if you have your own opinions, it's your opinions and stuff. I'm not saying you should vote for Trump. Well, the voting's over, obviously, but I'm not saying you should like Trump or you should like Biden. I don't really care either at this point. I just want to just get back to just watching anime, playing video games, and trying to fulfill out my dreams. But yeah, that's just me. But anyways, yeah. So I'm straying off topic here. But to his credit, though, I mean, he did get me a bit. So I'm not gonna be all like, well, I totally stomped him in this. I'm literally putting up the screenshots in this video. But I did clap him in the conversation about lack of representation in Disney movies in the past because, like, or in his generation, because he was all like, well, back in my day, there was segregation and black people had to eat such and such. I'm like, I don't know how old Ken Penders is, and it never really gives, like, an official, like, if you look on Wiki, I don't think he's ever put that information out. Maybe he has, but I assume Ken is, like, either in his late 50s or maybe even in his early 60s. I'm just assuming. But, yeah. But that's Kim Penders. So, yeah, I mean, I'm like, well, I mean, if there's not enough representation of movies, I mean, how is it we have, like, Hercules, Aladdin, Mulan, Pocahontas, Jungle Book? I mean, that's been around for at least 30 to 50 years, but, I mean, it's not always about some white Caucasian male, right? But anyways, yeah, so just to bottom line it, I don't like Ken Penders as a person. I think he's a really shitty guy. Or not shitty. I think he's very, well, yeah, he is shitty, but I think he's a very slimy kind of guy. Like, the dude literally throws and trash other writers and stuff. Yeah, I already said it. So, yeah. Alright, so before I even talk about his Lara-Su Chronicles, I'm going to talk about Ken's art and his writing styles. So, if I'm being completely honest, he's actually a talented artist. Yeah, what? Ken Penders? He's actually a talented artist? He's actually good? Now, hear me out. Sure, everyone, myself included, I'm not even going to deny it, laughs or cringe at his art style. But he's actually talented at realism and graphic detail. But drawing Sonic characters is just not his forte. It just does not work. When you draw Sonic characters in this type of style, it's very unappealing. It's gruesome to look at, since Sonic always has more of like a bubbly, toony anime kind of look. Like in Sonic CD, for example. Like, oh yeah, a lot of people love that toy animation looking Sonic. Even in his own anatomy, like, it varies or it becomes inconsistent throughout like a comic. Basically, his style is just unfitting to Sonic characters in general, and that is like what I'm just trying to say. As far as his writing, his stories to me are like kind of a hit and miss, like, but not how the Sonic series should be depicted. Like, to me, overall, like, you know how I said earlier in my other video about Sonic X being a perfect anime or being perfect and whatnot. Like, that's because I think, yeah, Sonic X is like the perfect depiction. Like, that is like exactly how Sonic should be like. The Archie comics, not so much, but definitely not what Ken Penders is writing into me. Like I said, to each his own. But, yeah, but I mean, as far as I see it, I see, like, Ken Penders is like the Tim Burton to Batman and stuff. Yeah, Ken Penders is like Tim Burton to Sonic and stuff. So, most of the stories are more of just comic book-like than Sonic-like, as well as, like, kind of just derails from the games and even SAT-AM. It usually like centers around fascism, cyberpunk, magic, and family drama. This reflects in his work on Knuckles the Echidna and the 25-year later story arc. Ken also has a habit of introducing unnecessary characters, being random family members or clones. Some of the notable characters that I will actually miss is Dr. Quack, Julie Sue, Anti-Sonic, or Scourge, technically. Well, Ken, I think he created Anti-Sonic, but what's his face? Ian Flynn was the one who made him into Scourge and improved on him improved on him vastly. And then lien-da, Lyoko, and Lita the Wolf, and Interjack. That's actually it. Like that, those are the characters I will actually miss. I mean, there's probably a few more, but not too many. Uh, but after, like, other than just parodying movies and superhero tropes, he also tries to make the stories over the top and edgy. Some of his ideas include Sally losing her virginity to Joffrey St. John. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm weird, but I mean, I'm not saying I'm like weird like that, but I'm interested in hearing that story out. But anyways, and then killing off Sally in game, that was kind of pretty bad. I know that's because he just found Sally to be a bit of a redundant character, and he just didn't like her, which is fair. But damn, he was just gonna kill off Sally. But then they opted Sega of America opted Ken to bring her back because they needed Sally as a bit of a cash cow because people love the freedom fighters, so that's why Sally was back. He created the tech cult known as the Dark Legion and stuff. They're basically just a bunch of like I guess terrorists or fascists or whatever in the Knuckles of stories. Basically just a bunch of like cyborg echidnas and stuff, that type of thing. And a story about gun violence and how it shaped the Mobians' relationships with humans. Love triangles changes to characters like Sonic's name being Oligavi, I don't know how to pronounce that, Maurice the Hedgehog, and of course politics, because like I said, Ken Penders is a deranged leftist. And while it's interesting to see his take on the Sonic series, it kind of just pivots far from the source material. I do in fact like some of it, but I obviously would prefer the modern writers' take, which is actually in the bounds of the Sonic lore and established history, as well as being just a lot more simpler. So, if you read Ken Penders' stories, you will find at least one of these many things that I've mentioned. Now we're going to be talking about the Lara-Su Chronicles. Alright, so if you don't know who Lara-Su is, she's the future daughter of Knuckles and Julie Sue, created by Ken Penders. Ken Penders managed to claim the rights of the Sega, his characters to use in his spin-off comic, the Lara-Su Chronicles. With Lara-Su as the protagonist, it's been in the works since like 2011, so 10 years now because it's 2021. And he has nothing to show but a few preview pages, which I'll review. Yep, that's what we're going to talk about here. So, what I have up is Shattered Tomorrow. What I should have up is Shattered Tomorrow. It's Ken Penders' first page that was released after Mother's Day 2018 on his Twitter. It's of Lara-Su walking on a beach grieving the loss of her dad since Ken can't claim Knuckles, so yeah. The story isn't a bad introduction, but it seems to lean towards the climax, like Boruto The Next Generation opening up with the battle between Boruto and Kawaki, implying Naruto is dead. So that's what the story kind of like, reminds me of in a way. So I'll give it an 8, being the best highlight that I could find. The art looks so bad on Julie Sue, especially her facial expressions and the design. Which is like a 4.5 in my book, like out of 10. Yeah, it's pretty bad. The backgrounds of the sky and the beach are completely CG or something. A lot of people were making jokes saying that, yo, did you just like Photoshop or do Google Images or something, or what? Yeah, he probably did. I wouldn't be too surprised. But yeah, he took some CGI images and put that shit in the background of his comic and stuff. At first I missed it a few times, but I'm like, okay, yeah, I definitely at a closer look. Yeah, so that's a 3 out of 10. What else? The monologue. The monologue is actually okay. So so we actually have a few wins here. So the monologue and the story, yeah, probably the better highlights. But the monologue is a 7. It's actually pretty decent. It's not like over the top. Like it's like, oh yeah, I love this. And I'm not saying it's like terrible, but decent. It's average. And the reception is a bit lukewarm with some people who like it a lot actually. other people who don't, which is kind of like a 6. The score I give the first page is a 51%, which is kind of a F minus or E. I'm actually from PG County. I'm from Maryland, so back in my day when I was in school, we used to call them E's instead of F's, but it's an F minus, which is still a failing grade. It wouldn't be like it would have been a 48%, so it would have been a worse score if I left out the reception. So you're welcome. So the next up we have Storm. It's a few pages long and it presents more characters in this story. We see Joffrey St. John and a few other original heavy emphasis characters like Houston Brownie, a Rhino character, I couldn't find his name, generic Echidna character, and Knox, apparently Knuckles' stand-in. Oh, and I forgot, Anthony Mackie, apparently. Yep. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, that's Anthony Mackie. I can't tell what the story is about overall, but it looks like the characters I've mentioned on the space mission and the cosmic is like just taking place. Like, yeah, it's kind of weird. The story is like a 6.5 because I just can't tell what the hell is happening here. Like, besides maybe military, space, like just space tropes and stuff being thrown around. Like, I don't know what's going on. The art is still bad, especially how Anthony Mackie is drawn. Or should I say, Captain America, I mean Falcon. Yeah, Falcon. He's just drawn it so bad. With a small spacesuit and body and a big, like, Photoshop head of his body, like, on his head on an astronaut body is weird. Which is kind of a 3. The dialogue just doesn't really give much of the context of what's going on, so it kind of earns a 6.8. Which is probably the best score I can actually give here. The backgrounds still look like a 2000 CGI, just copy and paste, which is a 2. The reception is a 5 since you have, like, okay, let me check. You do have people calling him out, and Ken's just using Knuckles in this background as well as just, it's just fussing about it. Overall, this is like a 51%, still an F minus, but personally myself, it's worse than the last score, or worse than the last page that I was, talking about with the Storm. So, in conclusion, I do believe that Ken Penders wasted about his time with those legal cases and stuff, since the preview pages were posted back in like 2017 and 2018. That was like 3 to 4 years ago, and I had an idea like for this video, of course, where I was but apparently, while I had this idea, Ken Penders is, I think, talking about with, I don't know if it's Screen Rant or something, with some kind of like website about his Lara-Su Chronicles, so that should be interesting. But as far as I'm aware, Ken hasn't really gotten that much out there. He was talking to me about, because I asked him when he was going to put the Lara-Su Chronicles out, or how is that going to work. He was saying that you have to download some app or something, or whatever, and he hasn't gotten that out yet, so yeah. But Ken is making just empty promises at this point when it comes down to the story progress. Honestly, he just should have just left things alone, and it would have been nice to just see a proper conclusion to the pre-Genesis wave before rebooting everything. But I mean, I understand from Archie's perspective that, well, or at least from the writers like Ian Flynn and all them, like they had to, like when it came down to like rebooting everything, they had to work with what they were given. So yeah. Because, I mean, I'm sure the Archie writers just couldn't just utilize most of the OCs that he's created. They really could have used it a lot better, but I guess it was because of Ken's pride and his ego that he just didn't like characters, like he didn't like other writers writing his own characters better than him. So, yeah, there is that. And I'm not going to lie, I mean, I would also feel kind of shitty. But not shitty, like, to the point where I would, like, I don't know, talk about the dead and all that other stuff that Ken is doing. But I would at least try to, I mean, I would at least, just, I guess, improve my own writing or something, or express that. Be like, well, I'm a little jealous, but I can at least acknowledge you, man. But anyways, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys like, subscribe, and share. This is the Keenest Fox, and I am out. Peace. And until we meet again.